A student of Jiu-Jitsu for over 50 years, Jacaré has studied with some of the most influential figures in Jiu-Jitsu, including Carlos Gracie Jr., Rickson Gracie, Mauricio Gomez, and Rolls Gracie. Influential in his own right, Jacaré has awarded almost 50 black belts and is leader of one of the most accomplished teams in Jiu-Jitsu. Over a cool glass of sweet tea, I sat with Jacaré to learn a little bit more about his storied history. So Jacaré, you started your training in Brazil in the 70s at a time when Jiu-Jitsu was not very well known outside of Brazil. Take us back to those days and tell me how the training was.
Well, when I first started to train Jiu-Jitsu, Jiu-Jitsu was not exactly what it is today. So Rio was the main place, okay, in Brazil to train Jiu-Jitsu. We had the Gracie School that was the top school, and then we had a lot of schools in the suburbs. But tournament-wise was very like small tournaments, and it was like a state championships, and that everybody from sometimes guys from other states would go over there to compete. But Rio was the mecca of Jiu-Jitsu.
And you trained mostly under Rolls Gracie, is that right?
Yes. Well, Rolls was the guy that taught me everything. I trained with one of Carson instructors before, Antonio Tuninho, and then further I went to live in New York to go to school. I spent a few years in New York, and I already knew Rolls from Rio, and his mother used to live in New York, so he went to New York, and then we met and developed a really good relationship. When I went back to Brazil in 1974, I went to train with him.
One of the main things I hear about Rolls is the fact that he was very open-minded, and he cross-trained in wrestling and sambo and judo. Was that one of the bigger characteristics of his personality?
Yes, Rolls was very open-minded, spoke several languages, used to travel all the time. In fact, his sister lives in California, Caesar's Gracie mother, Sonja. So he used to go visit her a lot. He used to go to New York. And he was always open. He tried to train. Every time that he go to a place, a different place, he would always, look for a place to train. And then he started to do a lot of freestyle wrestling and try to incorporate that into our routine, as far as like the takedowns and etc. He also fought some sambo tournaments in California. In fact, I went to one with him, and this way he always kept very open mind, always trying to innovate and always trying to learn some different stuff.
And what was your relationship like? Was it a traditional teacher-student relationship?
Well, I think it was more than that, because sooner I developed a really close relationship with Rolls. We used to do a lot of things together, go to the beach and exercise outside the gym, do some fit training. Not like the CrossFit we have today, but different training. And this way, we were very close friends.
And he only gave out 5 black belts, is that correct?
I think 6 black belts. There is one more guy, Mario Claudio, that used to teach for him, that got the 6 black belts from him.
And who were the other 4?
Mauricio Gomez, Roger Fader, Marcio Sambovis, that is in the States right now, Conde, Nissin, and myself.
So Jacaré, you've been in this game for a long time, and even though there's a new style of Jiu-Jitsu, I'm sure your classical style still works, right?
Yes, I think all the basics and all the techniques that if you do perfectly, always gonna work. A good example I always like to tell everybody is like, you look at Roger Gracie, he doesn't do anything exceptional, but his basic is very strong and works every time. Another, you know, my first black belt, also Fabio and Alexandre, when they compete, they use, you know, basically the techniques that we have been doing for 25, 30 years that I learned, you know, from Rolls Gracie, and works perfectly.
Do you have any particular guard pass you want to show today?
Yes, well, in fact, you know, Jiu-Jitsu has evolved a lot, and now the Toreando pass have evolved a lot, and two guys that influenced my style of teaching lately that I learned a lot was a Cobrinha that is in California, and now Lucas. And I still like to train with the guys, and I need a coach, and now they are my coach. You know, Cobrinha used to be my coach. I used to, like, you know, always ask questions, and because they are so technical and Jiu-Jitsu has evolved so much, we can't just stop evolving. And then I always trying to incorporate, you know, new things and learn new things. And now Lucas is my coach, is my new coach, my new instructor, you know, so I'm learning a lot with him.
That's great. So how about a guard pass? What's one of your favorites?
Okay, we're gonna work on a guard pass, okay, Toreando guard pass. Okay, so we're gonna start over here, but notice that I don't grab too close to the knees because it makes things very easy for you to move your legs around, or to put your foot in my biceps exactly, or to make the lasso, etc., and play the spider guard. Exactly. So what I'm gonna try to do, okay, to make things a little harder for you is I'm gonna go low, okay, and control the pants a little low over here, okay? And of course, put myself in base and close my elbows, okay? Because if I keep my elbows open, easy for the guy to come to apply the spider guard. So I'm gonna close over here, and I'm gonna kind of start to push, okay, the leg, okay? When the guy starts to react, okay, a little bit, I move out of the way, and I step to the side, okay? And then I'm gonna lower my legs, okay, on top of the guy's hips, and I'm gonna control. That's the first position, okay? If I can control his leg over here and lower my head, okay, and put my hand on his shoulder, I can come around, and then I can pass the guard, release, come on the side, okay? So the important thing in this situation is I cannot allow, okay, the guy's foot to touch the floor. Because if he touches the floor, he's going to be able to escape or roll and come back or recompose. But if I stop over here, he doesn't have any leverage to turn or to push. And then the first hand that I release is the one that is closer to my chest, okay? But first, I start to put my weight down, touch my outside knee on the floor, and my hand goes to his shoulder to press him down on this side, and then I slide, and then I come around, okay? And just put my hand under his hips, toes on the floor, rock a little bit, head down, pass the guard. My plan B for this situation, okay? So I'm gonna press, release, come around to the side, get over here. But now I can't really put my weight to pass the guard. And the guy starts to try to roll to that side exactly, to create that space over there. So if I keep holding his leg, he's gonna touch, and then he's gonna come back and recompose the guard. So what I'm gonna do in this situation here, okay? I'm gonna immediately release, okay, my bottom hand over here and pass to the collar and cross on top of his knee, okay? Now I'm gonna be able to stop his rotation, okay, exactly. But it's just gonna be a fight over here. So I let go my hand, I base on the floor. I'm gonna slow the guy down a little bit, like I pretend to pass the guard, and then I slowly release her. When he starts to roll, my bottom hook comes first, okay? And then I can pass to the seat belt, slide my chest behind his head over here, control, and put my second hook, okay? After I put the second hook, I adjust myself a little bit, okay? Open the lapel, grab really tight around his neck, and prepare the collar. Now, the detail here is I cannot extend my body to give space to his head. So I'm going to maintain my shoulder behind his head and just come to this position and then put the pressure. Okay?
That's a good point. A lot of people like to stretch out.
Yeah, if you stretch out, you let the guy put his head on the floor. So the shoulder is behind the neck the whole time, and just stretch the collars down, and then you get the tap.
What happened to you in your training when the tragic hang gliding accident happened to Holes?
In fact, that weekend, me and Carlos Gracie Jr., we went to a place called Búzios, which is a very famous spot in Brazil, with one of Holes' black belt, Nissin. And when we came back to Rio, that place was like, it's a beautiful resort outside Rio, it's about 2 hours from Rio. When we came back to Rio, we heard the sad news that Holes got in a hand glide accident in the mountains of Mauá, which is, you know, some beautiful place outside Rio in the mountains. But we didn't know he was dead, we just thought it was an accident. And because he always was involved with like a dangerous, you know, sports, I thought, you know, was something that he just like, you know, crashed or something. And he was okay, but then came the news that he was dead. And it was like a really sad day, you know. Sorry, I always get emotional a little bit when I talk about that day, but yeah, it was really bad. I think everybody got really sad and really upset.
Mm-hmm. And who did you train with after that?
Well, after that, you know, I stayed with Carlinhos for a little while, with Carlos Gracie, and training together at the school, because Holes and Carson, they share the same building in Copacabana. And then I was still training with Carlos for a couple of years after his death. And then Carlos decided to move to Barra da Tijuca. That's why the name Gracie Barra. And it was too far. I didn't have a car at the time. And then I went to train with Rickson for a few years, at least for 3 more years, before I was on my own with my own school.
Nowadays, most people consider Rickson to be the best Gracie member as far as jiu-jitsu goes, but not a lot of people have had the experience of training with Holes like you have. How would you compare their levels?
Well, Holes was the best Gracie when he was alive. There's no doubt. I saw Holes training with 5, 6 Gracies, you know, and just like tap one after the other, including Hicks and everybody. But of course, you know, we're talking about distinct, you know, times. Holes passed when Rickson was turning to be the best fighter in the family, which he achieved that level and carried that until he was like maybe a little older.
Jacaré, what's your favorite ways to attack the turtle position?
Okay, we have a few ways that we like to attack the turtle position. Okay, I'm gonna show you 2 ways. Okay, that we use, you know, and is very basic but works really well. Okay. All right. So the guy's in the turtle, and he's protecting his neck. Okay, so I like to stand on the side. Okay, with my weight. Okay, perfectly distributed on the side of his body over here, because I have a sense and I can react. Okay, if he tries to recompose or if he tried to sit guard. I'm always kind of behind the guy over here, on the side of the guy, and it makes things harder for him to try to recompose the guard, okay? So, at the same time, I have to control, okay, his elbow here, that he don't control my pants. So, and then I control the elbow, okay, on the outside over here. My hand over here, I'm gonna control the lapel on the same side without throwing my elbow all the way in, and control his hip, okay? So my elbow is outside his hip. And then I'm gonna see what I have available. If I feel I can put my hand inside his collar, the collar is already open, so because I'm stretching the collar, so it's very easy to get my hand to a good position. So as I grab inside, I take a big step over here, grab really nice and tight, and throw my chest on top of his head, pulling his elbow inside, okay? Forehead goes on the floor. So I have 3 points, okay, that I can support myself. And now I'm just gonna switch my base and walk and get the tap. So second option, I'm controlling the lapel, controlling the elbow, okay? But the guy blocked, and then I cannot attack the neck anymore. So I'm gonna drop my knee next to his knee to maintain his leg, and then I'm just gonna pull the guy back this way, changing my base and maintaining this knee on the floor and my other leg up. As I come to this point over here, it's just a trap. I pull the guy a little bit. Before he goes back, okay, to defend, I throw my hook all the way in, okay? And then, at the same time, I put my hand deep inside the collar, so one hand feeding the other hand, and this one I come low on his leg. Cross my leg across his body, get close to the leg as much as possible, leg over the shoulder, and now I can squeeze.
And what led you to create the Alliance team?
Well, the Alliance team was created after I was teaching for about 6 years. First was Jacaré Jiu-Jitsu, then I graduated Fábio Gugel to be my first black belt in 1989, and we had a school together called Master Jiu-Jitsu. And 3 years later, because we had a bunch of black belts and they were all training separately and having their own schools, and we decided to form just one team and go under one banner. And that's when we called, I called, the two best black belts, Fábio and Alexandre, and we decided to create the Alliance.
And what do you think is the most important thing about your team?
I think is the respect that we have for each other, the friendship, the organization, and mainly for the hard work that we put on the team. So we try to maintain the team solid. We once had a split, and a lot of our guys, they left and they formed other teams. But the guys that stayed, me, Fábio and Alexandre, we really worked harder to develop the team again, and we came back very strong a few years back, and now we won 7 world titles, 2 in the 90s, 98 and 99, and 5 consecutive in California.
Like you said, there was a split. It's not just your team, but other teams, people come and people go. Some people would say that's natural. Other people would say it's not, and people should never split off. What's your feeling of people that leave the team?
Well, I think it's in the human being, you know, when you're dealing with a bunch of like different, you know, human beings and different, you know, egos and different personalities. Some people, they have a tendency to get carried away, and they start to think that they are more important than the team. And I think the team is always more important than the individual, because if the team is strong, the individual is going to shine. If the team is weak, the individual is not going to shine. But some people, they don't realize, sometimes they're younger and they want to, you know, do their own thing, or they think they, but you know, I don't have any feelings. If the guys stay with us, fine. If they want to leave, you know, fine. We're going to produce, you know, more people, more champions. I'm not really worried about the guys that left. I'm more worried about the guys that are with us now in the present.
As you mentioned, the Alliance team has a tremendous competition record. Why is competition so important to you?
I think the competition is important because we can really focus on developing the techniques and developing the competitors to compete against the best. And once the techniques that we train inside the school are put into tests in the arena, in the World Championship or Pan Am Championships against the best, and if we can make the techniques work properly, it means that we're teaching the right thing. It's just like, for comparison, you're not going to pay $1 million to buy a Ferrari if the Ferrari is not the machine that, you know, goes in the Formula 1 race and win everything, or is one of the best. So that's why I think competition is so important to us. But we also have programs that we develop everything. The guys that are beginning, the guys that go to our schools just to have a workout, to learn a really good self-defense. We try to be really well-rounded on what we teach, that we don't teach just sport jiu-jitsu, but we teach jiu-jitsu in general.
Your two most famous competitors are Marcelo Garcia and Cobrinha. How much of their success do you feel you deserve credit for?
Well, I tried not to get any credit, you know, for anything. I'm a big team player. I'm the oldest guy, the guy that pretty much, you know, taught, you know, the first instructors, and then they passed to the other guys. And now the final product is like the actual guys that got famous, like Marcelo, Cobrinha, Lucas, Bernardo, Tarsis, and so many other guys that, but I'm just like a humble guy. I don't like to take any credit.
What team do you think is your biggest rival?
Well, right now, Gracie Barra, I think they are in a process of rebuilding, and they were always our, you know, biggest rivals. But now we have some young teams like Checkmate that, in fact, the guys, they were my students since they were kids, Léo Vieira and Ricardo Vieira. And we have the guys from Atos that have a very solid team. Gracie Maitá has some, you know, but I think Checkmate is now is the team that is getting closer to us.
And what do you see in the future of Alliance?
Well, I see that we always will evolve to get better. We have the Alliance online now, instructionals. We have very strong course for our instructors. We develop in the association. We developing a good methodology for all the instructors to teach. Like we teach in Atlanta, in São Paulo, or in Rio at the headquarters. And I see a very bright future for us because we didn't stop just because we got to the top. And I understand that getting to the top It's not easy, but it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. But the hardest part is to stay on top, because now is when all the other teams are going to try to do something to take our place, and we have to fight hard, you know, and work even harder to be on top.
What's been your biggest challenge in your career so far?
The biggest challenge in my career is to exactly succeed as instructor. A lot of people, they think it's easy, you know, to run a school, it's easy to be instructor, but I think it's really hard. It's like we have to kill a lion a day to survive, and we have to work really hard to support our family. For example, I teach class every day. I try to organize my school. I'm teaching seminars all over the world. I'm teaching course. And my only day off sometimes is on Sunday, and some months I don't have a Sunday off because I have to go and teach seminars. So this is the biggest challenge. But in a little while, you know, I'm probably going to retire in a nice and hot beach and enjoy, you know.
If you could change one thing about the BJJ community or the jiu-jitsu industry as a whole, what would that be?
Well, I think some guys' mentality sometimes, they need to understand that jiu-jitsu is not just how you train and how you compete, but it's how you behave outside the mats. Most people, they are gentlemen, but we still have some guys that they don't understand the philosophy of the martial arts. That is a long journey, is a spiritual journey, and they have to evolve and get to be better individuals in general.
Any closing comments?
Well, I just want to thank for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure. I think you're doing a great job on promoting Jiu-Jitsu, all the videos, all the footage that you guys usually show about Jiu-Jitsu. Broadcasting the tournaments live, I think, is like awesome, you know, and just helps so much us as instructors. And just want to invite, we have a beautiful school in Georgia. It's a 9,000 square foot facility. If anybody wants to stop by, everybody's welcome, regardless their affiliation. And my final comment is just enjoy Jiu-Jitsu and enjoy life.
Team Alliance is at the top of sport jiu-jitsu tournaments thanks to the leadership of Jacaré. With the new generation of black belts like Lucas Lepri, the team has the perfect blend of traditional and modern jiu-jitsu. Vince Lombardi once said that the strength of the group is the strength of the leaders. In the case of Team Alliance, the evidence is clear. 7 world team titles, all under the leadership of Romero Jacare Cavalcanti. Proof positive that without a strong leader, it may be the difference between winning and getting rolled up.